Welcome and thank you for joining the webinar. My name is Wolfgang Oestreich and I am a member of ForeFlight's European Pilot Support Team. This webinar will include an overview of improvements and enhancements to the ForeFlight mobile app that simplify operation and expand capabilities for VFR and IFR pilots. I will start with enhancements available for all of our customers, followed by the Pro Plus feature, and finish with the features and functions available for our Performance Plus customers. After the presentation, I'll ask you to answer a couple of questions before we start the Q&A part of the session. Before we begin, I want to cover a few housekeeping items. You can ask questions via the GoToWebinar message panel on the right. You can click the section which looks like a question mark to expand that section, and you can ask your question that way. We will respond as many of those questions as we can directly during the presentation. And we will also respond to many others in the Q&A portion. If your question isn't answered during the session, we will respond via email. The webinar is recorded and we will provide a link to access the recording. As previous webinars, they can be found on our website in the video library. Now let's get started. ForeFlight was founded in 2007 and published the first aviation app in 2008. From our offices in Austin, Texas and Houston, Portland, Maine and Odense in Denmark, besides the ForeFlight mobile app and the web planning tool, we provide the ForeFlight Sentry mobile ADSB receiver, which is now also available in Europe, the ForeFlight military flight bag, or business products like ForeFlight Dispatch or CTOPS for commercial operations of single-engine turboprop aircraft in IMC and by night. ForeFlight provides Eurocontrol valid route generation and flight plan filing for VFR and IFR flights via our Danish office. More than half of our 200 employees are pilots, flight instructors, or examiners by themselves and influence the development of our products from their own experience. In 2018, ForeFlight became a part of Boeing Global Services and works now closer with our peer companies like Jeppesen or Boeing Education. The usability of an aviation app is an essential part of flight safety. The goal is to make the workflow simple and provide the necessary information at every stage of a flight. Over the last year, ForeFlight has introduced a number of improvements to the user interface. ForeFlight's well-proven tab organization and the More menu received some upgrades, becoming more accessible, more customizable, and quicker to access. More is now a compact menu that slides in from the right, allowing you to quickly access downloads, settings, and other views without leaving the page you are on. You can edit the tab order and customize ForeFlight's default organization by reordering the tab bar to better suit how you use the app. The first 7 tabs will be displayed in the tab line, when the remaining tabs are still selectable from the More menu. The tab just to the left of More always reflects the last page you selected in the More menu. making it easy to jump back and forth between it and your main tabs. The newly introduced multi-mode timer, located at the bottom of ForeFlight's slide out more menu, is another tool to keep track of time in a variety of ways during a flight. Tap the up and down arrow to the right of the timer to switch between count up and count down modes. The countdown mode allows an individual configuration, including the repeat option and number of repetitions. Tap on the multi-mode timer to start the counting. ForeFlight displays an in-app audio and visual alert, as well as an iOS notification whenever the timer reaches 0 in countdown mode. Especially when flying in summer, overheating of the devices is feared. ForeFlight warns you if your iPad or iPhone is in danger of overheating with a prominent visual and audible alert, allowing you to take steps to cool the device and potentially avert a shutdown during a flight. The alert is triggered when ForeFlight detects that your device is dangerously hot and at risk of overheating and shutting down. ForeFlight added some new templates to the scratchpad panel. Recording the takeoff, landing, or holding briefing information is now easier right from your iPad. And the scratchpads are now also available on your iPhone. The takeoff scratchpad template reserves space for you to note information relevant to your departure, such as airport, wind, visibility, expected runway, and additional marks. When the landing scratchpad template lets you record your V-speeds, clearance, elevation, runway information, and ATIS. The holding instructions, such as direction, radial, turn direction, altitude, and expected further clearance, can be recorded with a holding scratchpad template. ForeFlight now includes support for multitasking on iPad, plus substantial design improvements on both iPad and iPhone to establish a fully unified and consistent interface across all devices. As a result, split screen allows running applications parallel and exchanging data between the apps. With ForeFlight Mobile Open on your iPad, you can drag an app from the dock on the bottom of the screen to the right or left edge of the screen for a split view. You can even work with multiple apps and slide over, displaying two apps in split view and exchange data between the apps like ForeFlight Passenger or Goltz ADL Connect on the same screen. Now you can also adjust the displayed ratio between the apps. The Maps view now displays information for most tappable elements and layers in a new semi-permanent sidebar that stays open while you interact with a map. The sidebar appears anytime you tap and hold the map and open the Add to Route window or tap on most map elements. ForeFlight displays the flashing green marker on the selected map element or location where you tapped so you don't lose track of it. Tapping on an obstacle displays the point marker. The sidebar menu helps to easily locate Jeppesen-sourced frequencies for many kinds of controlled airspace, for quicker in-flight access and reduced workload, and a fast overview of airspaces on that location. Selected airspaces are shown in green on the map. Tap into the details of an airspace to reveal all of its associated information. Quickly get a sense of terrain variations near an airport by tapping the new Terrain button in the airport summary. The Terrain button appears just to the right of the airport's taxiway thumbnail on the airport view or in the airport pop-up elsewhere in the app. The button only appears for airports in mountainous areas to indicate the presence of major terrain features. Tap the button to view the maximum and minimum terrain elevations within 10 nautical miles of the airport, as well as the airport elevation. ForeFlight's embedded airport diagrams now display published hotspots for improved situational awareness on the ground. Here for Basel-Mulhouse. The embedded airport diagrams are part of ForeFlight's aeronautical map layer and appear as you zoom into many airports around the world. Hotspots on airport diagrams appear as an orange highlighting on top of runways, taxiways, and aprons. Tap on airport hotspots on the aeronautical map to view each one's description so you can be better prepared for taxi. The hotspot pop-up includes each one's name, airport, and this description of the hotspot with any remarks. If there are multiple overlapping hotspots where you tapped, and this ambiguation pop-up allows you to choose which hotspot you want to view information for. Our team is also permanently working on the data used and published in the map. ForeFlight's high-resolution base map now includes new terrain and cultural elements such as mountain passes with names and associated elevations, peaks, highway labels, and additional bodies of water for improved in-flight reference. The internet-based street map and area map layers both have improved styling. They still can be enabled via the layer selector. The street map uses a new style that continues showing topographical information even very high zoom levels. And the area map has more prominent street and place labels to help you identify features on the map. In terms of usability, we have improved the way you can access airport and runway information. Quickly access runway information for any airport in your route by tapping the labels at the end of extended center lines when that setting is enabled. The sidebar shows the relevant runway information like dimensions and elevation, displays thresholds, heading, or runway lighting. Tap Select Runway in the information pop-up to highlight the runway on the map. A prominent line will show the runway heading. Or tap Straight in Runway to both highlight it and add a straight in 2 nautical miles final to your route. The straight-in approach is also visible in the FPL window. And visual approaches are as well available via the Procedure Advisor. Tap on Procedure in the FPL window and select Approach. Now you can specify the visual approach you want to fly. In the Procedure Advisor, you can set the pattern altitude for a visual approach or traffic pattern entry to add a prominent waypoint with a traffic pattern altitude in your route. Enter a custom traffic pattern altitude in either MSL or AGL formats. Select the type of traffic pattern entry or a straight-in approach and tap Add to Route to insert the pattern entry with marked TPA waypoint into your route. The traffic pattern altitude feature is available for all subscription plans. Where do you want to fly on the coming weekend? When deciding on the next destination for a trip, the weather conditions are an important factor. The ForeFlight mobile app provides now a 10-day weather forecast showing relevant data and predicted flight conditions for anywhere in the world. After tap holding the map, you can access the daily forecast with tapping on the WX icon in the sidebar menu and scroll through the daily timeline on the bottom or the hourly timeline in the middle of the pop-up window. However, for accessing the daily forecast in the airport view, select the Weather tab first and open the Daily section, which provides a tappable summary of each day's forecast. The forecast window is divided into 3 rows: daily forecasts at the bottom, hourly forecasts in the middle, and hourly forecast details at the top. The row of daily forecasts provides graphical depictions of each day's general weather as well as daily temperature ranges. The multicolored band along the very bottom of this row depicts changes in flight category throughout each day with green, blue, red, and magenta representing VFR, marginal VFR, IFR, and low IFR respectively. Tap on a daily forecast to automatically scroll to it in hourly forecasts and select the morning forecast period. The row of hourly forecasts in the middle provides more details about each forecast period in its own column. Tap on each column to view complete details about it and highlight the appropriate cell in the daily forecast row. The timestamp in the top right corner of the window shows how long ago the entire 10-day forecast was downloaded. An even faster shortcut to view your local forecast is also reachable via ForeFlight's Quick Action List after tap holding on the app icon. Internet traffic in ForeFlight hooks you into FlightAware's global traffic coverage, allowing you to view airborne and ground traffic all over the world anytime you have an internet connection on the ground. Internet traffic can be enabled via the layer selector with selecting the traffic layer and works inside the ForeFlight mobile app and ForeFlight web. When viewing internet traffic, tap on any aircraft marker to view a pop-up with information about it, including tail number or call sign, altitude, speed, and aircraft type. Aircraft with a block call sign are shown as private. The pop-ups for most aircraft on IFR flight plans also show the departure and destination airports and filed ETA, while many aircraft on VFR flights provide the departure airport. FlightAware's traffic feed even provides estimated positions of aircraft that are beyond the reach of standard detection methods, such as oceanic flights, using the aircraft's filed flight plan and departure time to calculate its current position. Keep track of any internet traffic target with the Auto Center button in the top right of the traffic information pop-up. Use internet traffic to plan your next flight by checking airport activity like active arrivals and runways in use, and see how ATC is vectoring traffic around active weather systems. When viewing an airport in 3D, Performance Plus customers can select traffic to display any airborne traffic near the airport. Tap on any traffic target to display its vertical and horizontal track as a blue curtain like in 3D Review. With the exception of the 3D traffic display, which is a Performance Plus function, all features shown are available to all of our customers. Now let's continue with a new weather layer available for customers on a Pro Plus plan or higher. Customers with a Pro Plus subscription or higher have now the chance to show cloud coverage on the map, like icing and turbulence information. The cloud coverage weather layer is available in the layer selector and is based on the GFS cloud coverage product and depicts forecast percentages of cloud cover over different areas using shades of gray. Like the icing and turbulence layers, clouds uses both an altitude and time slider to view forecasts at different altitudes and times. The layer's data can also be downloaded for offline use using the pack feature. While the cloud coverage forecast map layer is accessible to all Pro Plus subscribers and above, Performance Plus subscribers can view these forecasts from additional perspectives using the Profile View and the 3D Preview. Open the Profile View and tap the layer selector in the bottom left of Profile View to enable the weather or airspace layer you want to show. Here you can see the cloud coverage at multiple altitudes at once. Profile View shows the same color scales as an overhead map to depict varying intensities for each layer at multiple altitudes in relation to your route line. ForeFlight uses your planned departure and en route times to display weather over multiple forecast periods during which your flight will be active, providing a more accurate picture of changing conditions throughout your flight. Here is the same for turbulence and icing. And of course, airspaces. Combine cloud coverage with either of icing and turbulence layers for an even more informative view of weather along your route. The 3D preview depicts forecast weather as floating colored blocks that uses the same color scale to represent forecast severity as the overhead map and the profile view. Use the layer selector icon on the lower left in the 3D preview and select the weather layer you want to show. The information display in the upper left corner shows relevant information like altitude and time based on your flight planning. Use the altitude slider on the right to view weather at different altitudes and tap the RTE button at the top of the altitude slider to show only weather at the same altitude as your route. Information displayed in the upper left is updated with the intensity information like scattered cloud coverage in that picture, or light turbulence on that position. With medium icing on your route at the planned altitude, you can use the altitude slider to check different flight levels. Both Profile View and 3D Preview combine all relevant forecast periods into a single depiction that aligns with your flight planned departure and en route times. The Route Advisor now supports additional constraints types for the recommended route, giving you a more flexibility to tailor routes to your own needs. Route constraints and the recommended route are available with ForeFlight performance plans. Access the route constraint options by tapping the button in the top right corner of the Route Advisor or the set constraints. The new constraints allow you to specify any waypoint, nav aid, or airport that you want to be included or excluded from your route. Or you can select flight information regions that you want to have excluded from route generation. In the Include Waypoint field, type in one or more waypoints, nav aids, or airports separated by commas or spaces to ensure that the regenerated recommended route includes them. Do the same for the Avoid Waypoints field to ensure that the new route doesn't include the specified waypoints. After selecting a Zulu or Yankee plan, you can now specify your preferred IFR, pickup, or cancel waypoints. The Procedure Advisor also receives some enhancements. When selecting an approach, here in that example the ILS approach for runway 17, you can now define your personal minimums for that approach. When on a performance plan, you can specify an altitude minimum to display the minimum directly on the map for quick reference during final approach. After choosing an approach and Procedure Advisor, enter an approach minimum in the Altitude MSL field. on the left before adding the approach to your route. ForeFlight approximates the corresponding AGL altitude and displays it below the flight. Once you add the approach to your route, the minimum appears as a prominent magenta label at the very end of the route on the map. The defined individual approach minimum becomes also available in the 3D preview, here at Mike Lima 17. Tap on the Send To button and send the flight plan to the Flights tab. Additional to the option to plan a flight based on the departure time, you can plan a flight now based on a desired arrival time using the new ETD/ETA switch at the top of flights. In ETA mode, ForeFlight will work backwards from the desired arrival time to calculate when you need to depart. Then display that time at the top of the flight and in the flight summary on the left, which now displays each flight's estimated time of departure, estimated time en route, and estimated time of arrival for quick reference. The date and time selector also includes now buttons to change your estimated time of departure or arrival in increments of ±1 hour or 30 minutes, enabling quick changes when planning or amending a flight. ETA planning on flights is available with ForeFlight performance plans. Marked positions allow recording and sharing position data for any flight. Marked positions are available for performance plans and can be enabled via the map settings. After tapping the gear button on the Maps view, enable marked positions under Map Overlays. This adds a marker button on the left side of the screen that you can tap to drop a marker at your current GPS position. Now you can drop markers along your route during a flight to mark points of interest or comply with position plotting requirements. Each new marker automatically captures the current time, your coordinates, GPS altitude and ground speed, and allows you to add notes, rename the marker, or change any of the preset values beside time. Tap Save to add the marker to the map. If you don't specify a name for the marker, it will be named for the time that it was dropped. Tap on any saved marker to view its information and tap Edit to change any of the values. Save it as a user waypoint or delete the marker. Marked positions can't be added to your route. Therefore, saving one as a user waypoint is useful if you need to route to a previous marked position. Marked positions automatically disappear from the map 15 minutes after landing. But any marked positions made during a recorded flight will be included in the flight's track log. Here a flight from last year. Tap Info in the top right of the track log view to find a list of all the marked positions made during the flight. Exporting a track log as a KML file will include the marked positions, allowing you to view them in another app along with your recorded flight. Marked positions offer a convenient and flexible means of recording and sharing position data for any flight for customers on a performance plan. The next two topics are about improvements available to all of our customers. The Logbook feature lets you track your flight time, currency, ratings, endorsements, your medical certificates and more across all your devices. Now you can edit the tracks on your personal computer as well. Log on to plan.foreflight.com and click into the Logbook view on the left to manage your logbook entries, aircraft and settings. Select the logbook entry for editing, setting check marks, adding passengers or crew members, or simply writing some comments. As a flight student, you can request endorsement confirmations when your flight instructor and flight school is using ForeFlight, with requesting a digital signature from your flight instructor via email. The record will be stored on both your and your flight instructor's account. If a flight wasn't recorded automatically, or you want to add entries manually, you can do it now from your web browser by selecting Add Entry. Also, reports can now be printed from the web. However, the reports are mostly in a FAA format. The web logbook allows you now to manage your logbook aircraft and set the category, gear and engine type, or if it's a complex, high performance or pressurized aircraft. In the settings section, you can specify how the recorded time should be displayed, in hours and minutes or in decimal format. You can also select the displayed fields on the logbook entry page. Importing and exporting logbooks to and from ForeFlight works as before via CSV files. For importing a logbook, you can use a template available on that page. The compact and affordable ADSB receiver ForeFlight Sentry is now available in Europe. Yeah! The Sentry receives ADSB traffic information from other aircraft, provides vast GPS and position data to the ForeFlight mobile app, attitude and heading information for synthetic vision, which is available to Pro Plus plans and above, barometric pressure information, and contains a carbon monoxide sensor and alarm system for added safety. The highly accurate GPS technology of the Sentry supports 4 different satellite constellations and up to 3 concurrently, and is resistant to GPS jamming common near military bases. In combination with synthetic vision, the ForeFlight Sentry provides you with improved situational awareness. Be aware that only aircraft with ADSB out option are displayed. FLARM or Mode Sierra only equipped aircraft not. When you can and have to look around for opposite traffic, the invisible enemy in your cockpit can't be detected by smelling or seeing. Cracked exhaust pipes or heaters can kill you. The built-in carbon monoxide sensor sends visible and audible alerts to the ForeFlight mobile app, and additionally provides a high-pitched audio alert which cuts through cabin noise and headsets. The carbon monoxide sensor is certified for a 10-year lifespan. With a little bit more than 100 gram weight, and not bigger than a cigarette box, the Sentry works in a wide temperature range and warns you against overheating. Optional, you can enable the Wi-Fi security. ForeFlight delivers the ForeFlight Sentry in a nice bag with a RAM suction mount. The ForeFlight Sentry is available via the web shops of Skyfox in Germany or Kniebret in Switzerland. If you want to compare the components of the 3 subscription levels later, you can do so at www.foreflight.com/pricing. Useful resources for more in-depth information are the Pilot's Guide, which can also be found in the documents of the ForeFlight mobile app, the videos and online courses of our video library, or the latest information on blog.foreflight.com. Always available to answer your questions is our pilot support team at team@foreflight.com. You can register for a free trial at www.foreflight.com/30day-Europe.
All right, I'll go ahead and just leave that one up for a little bit longer, and we will move on to our Q&A here. So first up, Wolfgang, you're on the call here. So first up,
thank you. Thank you, Sam, for supporting with the follow.
Yep, no problem. So question number 1, is the internet traffic also available in the air? I was missing this during the flight, but it was there on the ground.
Yeah, the simple answer is internet traffic is only available on the ground with an internet connection. Also, if you have cellular internet connection during a flight, we will disable internet traffic after takeoff because, as I explained during the presentation, the traffic sometimes is delayed and could, confuse you.
Yeah, exactly. It's even though the in-flight traffic or the internet traffic is very useful for seeing what's going on when you're on the ground, during an actual flight, it's really not accurate enough or fast enough updating to be used for any kind of in-flight reference. So next question, where do I find the color coding references for cloud and radar or enhanced satellite layers, such as what those different colors represent for each of the weather layers?
Yeah, so as you know, the ForeFlight have a document management system built in, and simply check out in the Legends in ForeFlight mobile document and the documents in the ForeFlight drive.
Yeah, and many of those legends are also contained in the main ForeFlight Pilot's Guide, but the Legends Guide is specifically for those legends. Next question, do I see airspace I pass through in the profile view or also close to my route? How do I tell them apart? So when you're seeing airspace within profile view, is that only representing airspace that you are actually passing through or will pass through, or does it also represent airspace on either side of your route that you may not pass through?
Yeah, the profile view displays all airspace within a fixed width corridor extending up to 16 nautical miles ahead of your aircraft. And if a corridor is wide enough, then it may display also airspace on your side. Additional to the airspace you are crossing. And you can change the width of the corridor by tapping the settings button in the lower right corner of the profile view.
Yeah, exactly. So as you increase the width of that corridor, then it will naturally start showing more airspace and also more terrain within that profile view. And so I think you can go up to 20 nautical miles width, which is a very, very conservative width. Whereas if you're more comfortable with a 1 to 2 nautical mile corridor width, then you can select that, and it'll it'll show less terrain and less airspace.
Yeah,
Next question.
let's point here also to the airspace auto highlight feature, what gives you a pretty good overview on the maps view, not in the profile view, but in the maps view, which air spaces you are crossing or approaching.
Yeah, the airspace highlighting feature and the airspace filtering feature are both really great to pair with the airspace display within profile view.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up, does planning a flight take historical winds into consideration, and when does it change from actual winds, actual forecasted winds, to historical winds?
Yes, ForeFlight will calculate route performance using historical winds for any flight planned more than 7 days in advance on the flights view. And currently, the maps view does not incorporate historical winds into any route calculations.
Yeah, exactly. So if your estimated time of departure is more than 7 days in the future for a route on the maps view, then I believe it'll just say, no wind data. Whereas if you send that route to the flights view, then the flights view will display a message that says forecast winds unavailable using historical winds. And so then it will use those historical winds to calculate the route performance. And that's only if the estimated time of departure is more than 7 days in the future.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up, can I use ForeFlight to transfer data to a Garmin FlightStream 510?
Yes, of course. So that's what I'm doing. You can connect your ForeFlight mobile app via Bluetooth with a FlightStream 510 and send or receive route information to your Garmin receiver, the GTN 750 or 650, it doesn't matter. And you will also receive GPS information, RS information, and ADSB information from that device. Sometimes it depends from your specific avionics configuration which devices are feeding into your GTN, but that's all you can get out of the system.
All right, we received a couple of questions about VFR flight plan filing in the Netherlands. While we can't provide a definitive timeline for when that will be enabled, we are working on it right now, and we do hope to have it supported in the near future.
Okay. Good. So
right,
then.
Yeah, Wolfgang, do you have any other questions you want to get to here?
Yeah, there are some. Thank you for attending. Thank you for listening, and also for the suggestions and feature requests we have received in the Q&A session. We will go back to the team and provide these questions to the team, and yeah, you help us to make ForeFlight better.
Yeah. Exactly. We're always keen to see what comments and questions and requests come up in these webinars, because they definitely do inform our future product planning. So thanks everyone for attending and for filling out those poll questions. Those were really helpful. And thank you, Wolfgang, for putting together this webinar. And so we will have this same webinar, but in German, will be 2 days from now at the same time. So if you have any German-speaking friends who you think would appreciate having it in their native language, then feel free to let them know about that. And you can sign up to register for that webinar and any of our other webinars that we're going to be doing over the next few months at foreflight.com/onfrequency. So thanks again for attending, and we hope to see you on the next webinar.
Yeah, bye.